Hey everyone, welcome. I'm going to get started pretty quickly right away so I don't waste any of your time. I'm so glad that you are here right now. Let me start sharing my screen and we'll get started. Let's see. Okay. Share, make sure you can see everything you need to see. All right. Can anyone give me a thumbs up or an okay or any sort of something in the chat so I know that you can see the presentation? It should have me and then behind me the secret independent naps in the background. Can everyone see and hear me? Thumbs up or in the chat, anything, let me know that you can see and hear me. Awesome. Okay. Oopsie. We don't want to do that. All right, here we go. Let's get started. Okay, before we go there, let's start here. Um, let's get the chat going. So tell me where you are right now and how old your baby is. We'll probably have a bit of a range. And I do want to start by saying that this is a no judgment zone. So let's all agree we can make this a welcoming parenting space. I know there a lot of parent shaming going on the internet, but we're going to have none of that here. So you are welcome here. If you sleep train, if you co-sleep, if you love contact naps, if you hate contact naps, if you breastfeed, if you bottle feed, all of that is welcome here and all of this will be relevant for you despite any of those choices you've made. And I want to start by checking in with you on how you are feeling today. So our feelings can vary from one day to the next as parents, right? But as of today, you're going to put a 1, a 2, or a 3 in the chat if you can resonate with any of these statements that I'm going to put up next, all right? Put a 1 in the chat if you are doing contact naps right now most of the day and you are loving it. Like you're just here because you're curious about starting independent naps in the future, but you're currently on contact naps and you're enjoying it. Put a 2 in the chat if you are doing contact naps all day and you're feeling trapped, you're feeling tapped out, you're ready for a change. And put a 3 in the chat if you have mixed feelings about contact naps right now. You love the snuggles, but you also crave some hands-free time. So put a 1, a 2, a 3 in the chat just on how you are feeling today. Most of the time, many people will have a bit of a mixed feeling, but either way, whatever you're feeling today, 1, 2, or 3 is totally valid. It's normal to have mixed feelings about these things. It's just like how we can't wait to put our kids to bed and then we stare at pictures of them on their phone while they sleep, right? It's like us moms have to deal with a lot of competing emotions. So, whatever you're feeling about contact naps is totally valid. Okay, I'm going to ask permission for a few things. The first, just patience with technology. I used to be a teacher. I love teaching workshops, but doing it online can always have its hiccups. This is my third summer hosting this class, and so far everything went smooth, but you never know what's going to work smoothly and what's going to not when it comes to technology. So bear with me. Let me know in the chat right away if there's anything you can't see or you can't hear. I want to make sure you get all of this information and we keep everything running smoothly. Okay. Next, I'm going to be giving you 7 tips for independent naps so you can work on laying your baby down without them waking a few minutes later. All right. I think we are all agreed to that one already if you're here. And finally, before I start, I do want to be very clear. Every baby and family is different. I can only give you the broad, generic tips, the main things I like to start with, but babies are not robots, unfortunately. They all have their own special little quirks. So while I have these main 7 tips for laying the foundation, having ongoing support from me to tailor these tips to your baby is going to be the best way to have a consistent sleeper like throughout the years, not just a couple weeks. So, I'm going to be touching on that as we sort of go on. I can show you a way that you can get individualized support if you need it and help from me if you need it. All right? We'll save that for the end. Okay, let me make sure everybody's on board. Awesome. Oh, we've got a twin mom. Welcome. Okay, here we go. I'm Alex, which you probably know by now. I'm a certified pediatric sleep consultant. I also have my bachelor's degree in child development and my multiple subjects teaching credential. So I've pretty much always and only worked with kids or babies in some capacity. I was a kindergarten teacher for 5 years and then decided to be a stay at home mom once I had my second baby. And eventually, 3 years ago, almost to the day, I became a sleep consultant. So I'm now a mom of four. My oldest son is 7 and my daughter is 6. And then I have two more boys who are 3 years old and 9 months old. I've got the 9 month old sleeping right now. And the 3 year old, unfortunately, like full disclosure, woke up sick. So I didn't want to send him with grandma because I didn't want him to get grandma sick. So I had to resort to him watching a movie. He's usually good. So hopefully we don't have any 3 year old visitors during this. Um, Not only do I have experience working with many, many babies and families at this point, I'm also in the thick of it myself, as I said, when it comes to navigating toddler and baby sleep issues. Sleep deprivation with my first baby 7.5 years ago, like rocked my world. And I've been passionate about learning about baby sleep since then. And eventually that just led to me becoming a sleep consultant myself, again, almost 3 years ago to the day. I was actually trained by Chrissy Lawler at the Peaceful Sleeper, if you know and follow her. And in the last 3 years alone, I've helped over 600 families, either through consultation calls or online resources to help get their whole family sleeping using a method that works for them, not a one size fits all approach. All right. Enough about me. Let's talk about why you are here. So, are you here because you're stuck in some sort of cycle like this? Your baby only naps well in your arms. Maybe you feel guilty and you want to start creating better sleep habits. You don't want to have these bad habits and ruin your baby's chances of learning independent sleep. And you may also just be craving some time with your hands free to care for yourself or your house or your other kids. So then you try and lay your baby down for a nap. Maybe they seem sleepy. Maybe they even fall asleep on you. And you think, like, yay, okay, this is the moment I'm going to lay you down. So you lay them down carefully into their crib or bassinet. They start to stir. They're awake within a few minutes. And you now feel even more frustrated because you actually did want to try for an independent nap. And now your baby isn't getting the sleep they need. And you know how they hound in our heads that our babies need sleep, our babies need sleep. So you pick them back up reluctantly, go sit down, have a contact nap, maybe put them in the carrier, and you feel a little defeated and frustrated. And then this cycle can sort of repeat all day long until your day no longer feels as joyful. I don't know if any of you have ever been stuck in that cycle. If you have, pop it in the chat because I know I have definitely felt that way before. When you signed up for this class, so many of you submitted to that form that I asked you to submit to. And here are just some of the things that you guys said you're struggling with. And you guys, this form, so many of you had submissions. I just took like a few that covered a lot of the repeating themes. So if any of you feel the same way as this, you are not alone. There are way more submissions than this, and we are all kind of feeling the same way. So, my baby won't nap in their crib, bassinet, or even the pram slash stroller. My baby's 6 weeks old and wakes up instantly when I place him anywhere. My 2 month old struggles to nap in the bassinet. He either wakes up right away or after 15, 20 minutes. Those short naps are so frustrating. He's 6 weeks old. He always wants to be in my arms, doesn't stay in his bassinet or lounger. Still contact napping, which I love, but I need to start being able to have autonomy. A lot of people can get stuck there, absolutely. And my baby can't nap in her crib anymore at all. So sometimes we get there and then it like all goes downhill. And the moment I place her in there, she opens her eyes. The only way I can get her to nap is in my arms or the carrier. Again, these are just a few I pulled from those forums. So many of you were feeling the same way. Before we get started, I want to share a quick little story from Isabel with you. So, her baby had just turned 3 months old when we hopped on the phone. So, this is one of my phone consultation clients. And when we spoke, her baby would literally only nap if she was in the carrier walking around the house or walking outside. So, she was solely contact napping. And anytime they did try a crib nap, her baby would wake up seconds after Isabel laid her down. So, she just kind of gave up and resorted to walking around the house all day long with her baby in the carrier. So we connected, we discussed a lot of the strategies I'm going to be sharing with you right now. And literally one day after implementing these tips, Isabel sent me this message the next day. And it said, I feel like we've made great progress already. Our baby had a 5.5 hour stretch last night, a 1 hour independent nap this morning, and I just managed to calm her and get her to sleep in the car seat using the eyebrow stroking. Feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So thank you so much for your help yesterday. I want all of this to be you. Like, this is exactly these moments are why I create this free class because I want everyone to be able to do this. Like, I don't want to gatekeep this. So, sometimes all it takes is be able to chat with me about your baby. If you find that today you feel like you have some nuance with your situation or you've tried these things and you want a little bit more individualization, just like Isabel did, we can always hop on the phone or I will show you at the end how you can send me info about your baby and I'll get you on track. We can troubleshoot back and forth and get you some individualized strategies. And this is what can happen when I just hear exactly what's going on with your situation and get you the exact information you need for your baby. All right, let me check the chat, make sure we're all good. Oh, yeah, just happened 30 minutes ago. Exactly. Oh my gosh. I was going crazy. My baby is 9 months old now, so he's much better at napping. But 3 months old, I was losing my dang mind because we kind of had to resort to contact naps as well. It was exhausting. Um, there are three main things that go into independent sleep in general. So I kind of cut it into a pie. One piece is laying a foundation. So this is really what we focus on both in the newborn months or before you teach your baby to fall asleep independently if that's a plan for you. So what we focus on in here is really these foundational steps to get our baby ready either during the newborn months or we're not ready to teach them to fall asleep independently yet, but we need to help lay a foundation. So that's what that piece is. The next piece of the puzzle is teaching independent sleep initiation. So this is around at least 4 months old. You can teach your baby to fall asleep completely independently. So you can lay them in their crib or their bassinet awake, say goodnight, walk out the door, and they will learn how to fall asleep on their own at nap, which then, of course, eliminates the need to contact nap all day. And then the third piece of the pie is staying consistent yet tuned into your baby's needs. So your baby is going to go through regressions and nap transitions and illnesses and separation anxiety. So, how do we meet emotional and physical needs while also keeping sleep on track so that you can have a good sleeper for years again and not just like for 2 weeks? Today, we're mainly focusing on this chunk, laying the foundation, what we do with our babies before we teach them to fall asleep independently. So, if you are here right now and your baby is under 4 months old, 100% of the things I'm going to do today, this is your sole focus right now. If your baby is older than 4 months old, you are still absolutely in the same spot. You can start with almost all of these tips, but you actually have even more options than the newborn parents have. Sorry, newborn parents, when it comes to independent sleep, because you could move to the other pieces of the pie if your baby is older than 4 months. So today I'm focusing on laying the foundation piece, but what I'm going to do is make sure that each tip I will differentiate for you what would be appropriate for a newborn and what would be appropriate for an older baby. And for those with older babies, I will also go into how you can go about teaching independent sleep initiation when the time comes. So today I'm going to give you 7 actionable steps you can start right away, despite your baby's age, to work on getting 1 to 2 successful crib naps with your baby every day. Why is this important though? Imagine being able to lay your baby down and have some time to yourself to eat a meal, get a quick workout in, read a book, take a nap, have one on one time with your other children. And you may think, I'm just like in my new mom era right now. This is the time I have to just like give all of me to my kids, and I don't need to take care of those other things or take care of myself. They're only little for so long. I need to just embrace this time. And while a lot of this is definitely absolutely true, I would argue you could give more to your kids if you had some time for yourself to fill your own cup. I know I'm a thousand time better mom when I can get predictable breaks to take care of myself. If not, I'm just like a body there caring for them. I'm not as connected, like socially and emotionally, as I could be if I felt well taken care of. Around 6 weeks with my second baby, I was hitting that sort of wall. The first 6 weeks, she would drift off anywhere she was in the living room, my arms, carrier, whatever. And then around 6 weeks, everything changed. I had a toddler. My first was like 20, 21 months old at the time. And my 6-week-old daughter was wide awake to the world, was no longer napping at all, would stay awake for hours just watching her toddler brother like running around the living room. And then she would become overtired and have these awful witching hours in the evening. The only thing that would get her to stop crying in the evening was my husband literally doing like lunges with her. I don't know. I couldn't even help her in those moments. It felt terrible. I knew something had to change. And so I started practicing some naps in her room, in her crib, and it changed all of our lives. I was able to get some predictable breaks. Of course, I had a toddler, but that gave me some time without her in my arms to get some stuff done. And my toddler was still napping, of course. So I was able to get some breaks. And every baby is different. So some newborns, they're going to sleep through things easier. My third baby was completely different. He fell asleep anywhere, anytime, like until 4 or 5 months old, but he was pretty much 100% contact napped for the first 4 or 5 months. So I've really had it both ways, the 6-week-old in the crib and the 5-month-old who's never taken a nap in his crib ever. Another reason practicing the skills is important is because it's going to help your baby get used to this space. If you plan on moving them to their crib in a few months, it can be nice that they're already familiar with that space when you go ahead and make the switch. Okay, so the goal of this masterclass is to give you the tools and knowledge you need to start implementing successful crib naps with your baby or bassinet naps. I say crib naps, but either one. I'm also going to help you shift your mindset about your baby's sleep so that you aren't feeling disappointed over and over again. That's tip number 7. And I think it's the most important one here. So if you're tempted to leave early, I would encourage you to stay for tip number 7. Now let's get into the 7 tips. If any questions pop up during this time, I have the chat open, so feel free to just pop it in the chat and I will work on answering some questions if needed. Okay, let me get a sip of water and slow myself down a little bit. I can tend to start to blab. When we want to set our baby up for success, we need to think about where our babies are sleeping. We need to set up the environment they're sleeping in. So, for the first 6 to 8 weeks of your baby's life, it's actually beneficial to have them napping in a bright, active room during the day, in the living room with you. You know, you're talking with someone, you have the TV on, you're playing music, whatever. This helps them orient day and night because many babies, when they're first born, are awake more frequently at night than they are during the day. So, this is one strategy to help them like switch that around, right? But typically, around 6 to 8 weeks, babies have a shift in their awake pattern. So they're easily overstimulated. They may have a harder time just dozing off in the living room, as you heard from my experience with my daughter. And you may find by this stage, your baby just like powers through their sleepiness, stays awake for hours on end, and then fights going down for their nap. So, if you find that you're experiencing this with your baby, it's most likely time to move naps into a dark room with a sound machine. I put white noise on here. I'm not super picky about like brown noise, white noise, whatever, but just some sort of constant noise. And by dark room, I mean really dark, like blackout blinds and blackout curtains, like whatever you can manage. This is going to help block out that stimulation for your baby, help lull them to sleep and keep them asleep. If you're going to use a sound machine, I will add, please make sure you're using it safely. It should be at least 7 feet away from your child's head and a moderate level, not too loud. As long as you're doing it that way, it's completely safe. Many babies, especially 3 months and beyond, are going to wake up after one sleep cycle, which is like 30 to 40 minutes. And if they wake up after that one sleep cycle and there is anything interesting going on around them, they're going to have a very hard time going to sleep. And by interesting, I mean it could be the tiniest little light that they're staring at that age. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night and all of a sudden there's like a circus show being performed in front of you. There's no way you're going right back to sleep. And I know that sounds a little dramatic, but the world is really stimulating for little babies and little newborns. And what may seem like a normal evening for your family can be like a circus for your baby's little brain. So, to summarize, if you're shooting for an independent nap and we're after that sort of 6 to 8 week mark, there's some wiggle room there. It's not exact. I would recommend moving to a really dark, cool room with a sound machine going. Okay. All right. Now, this is one that is specifically applied to newborns that are not yet showing signs of rolling, but I will go into like what you can do if you're not swaddling or if your baby's older. So, swaddle newborns that are not showing signs of rolling. And yes, swaddle even if your baby fights it or doesn't like it. I hear that all the time. It's still, you practice, practice, practice. Your baby's moral reflex is very strong. And newborns are also really active sleepers. They spend most of their time in active stages of sleep. They're going to grunt, they're going to squirm, they're going to move around, they're going to jerk themselves awake frequently. It can be frustrating. So, getting a crib nap or a bassinet nap without the swaddle in the newborn months is honestly going to be pretty tricky. The swaddle hugs their arms in, helps your baby feel snug, helps them feel contained, and helps calm their startle reflex and keep your baby sleeping. Countless people come to me and say, "My baby never liked the swaddle, so we don't use one." Don't think of the swaddle as the thing that's going to calm them and put them to sleep. This is what's going to keep them asleep. So it's the first step that we need to do in order to get your baby to go down for their nap, but it really mainly works well if you stack other methods of soothing on top of it. So if your baby, by the way, is too old for a swaddle, you can still do these other things on this list. Just take the swaddle out, and instead of swaddle, you're just going to hold them in your arms snug while you do these other things. So you may have heard of Dr. Hervey Karp's 5 S's for soothing. The sixth one I learned from Chrissy at the Peaceful Sleeper. And they are swaddle. So we just talked about that. Swaddle, nice and snug, probably snugger than you think. Turn your baby on their side, either facing you or facing out. I like to have them face me because there's nothing exciting to look at when they're looking at my armpit. But some babies like to face out. And then suck. So if your baby takes a pacifier, then you can offer the pacifier. You're going to make a nice, loud shh, shh, shh sound that then you can have nice and loud if they're crying. And of course, as they start to quiet, you can start to quiet a little bit. You're going to sway back and forth at the same time. Sometimes I like to add a little booty pat in there. I'll see if I can play this video again. Can I? There it goes. And then last but not least, all else fails, the magical eyebrow stroke, which I do at the end of this video. Just gently stroking their eyebrows or their bridge of their nose can be super helpful. So it's okay if you don't want to swaddle for whatever reason. Or obviously, if your baby's showing signs of rolling, you should not be swaddling them. But just know that it's going to be really normal for your baby to jerk themselves awake frequently and need extra support falling back asleep. Okay. All right. Next up, here we go. The next tip we're going to do here, the next step is following age appropriate wake windows and sleepy cues. I'm sure you hear this all the freaking time, so I hate to be annoying, but it is a good piece to the puzzle. Preventing overtiredness is going to make it a lot easier for you to achieve a successful crib nap. If you're shooting for a crib nap with a baby who is overtired or even not tired enough, like they're undertired, it's going to be hard to find success. When a baby becomes overtired, they get fussy, they have a harder time falling asleep, they have a harder time staying asleep. An overtired baby will typically take shorter naps and have more frequent night wake ups. I know it seems backwards, but the trick with naps is to get your baby down when they are sleepy, not tired. If you can get your baby down right as they are ready for a nap, it can actually be pretty easy when you use those 6 S's and then rock them to sleep. Now, to figure out when your baby is ready for a nap, how do we figure that out? You're going to use a combination of wake windows and sleepy cues. So, wake windows, which I'm sure we all know by now, is the amount of time your baby is awake before they need to go to sleep. And most newborns are really awake like 45 to 60, maybe 90 minutes max. 60 is kind of the average. And wake windows are typically shorter the younger your baby is. And then they will lengthen as your baby gets older. By 5 months, your baby's probably at that, or by 4 months, your baby probably at that sort of 90-minute mark. By the way, wake windows include time spent eating. So if your newborn wakes up, feeds for 20 minutes, they're probably going to need a nap 40 minutes later after their feed. Now, I put the average wake windows on here. Don't freak out or follow this like the Bible. These are averages. These are not rules. These are just like if we surveyed all the babies, this is what we find works pretty well for most of them. There are higher sleep needs babies, there are lower sleep needs babies. If you have no idea where to start, these are great places to start. But then if you need help like troubleshooting your baby's wake windows, that's where the additional support with me would be super helpful. You'll literally send me a message today. Let me know what naps are looking like and what their current wake windows are. And I will help you figure out like, is your baby too tired? Is your baby not tired enough? What's going on here? Um, these are important to keep an eye on. Start to experiment with like what works well for your baby. If your baby's younger than 5 months old, you're also going to want to use this information in combination with keeping an eye out for sleepy cues. And why only under 5 months old are we looking for sleepy cues? I'll get into that. Many parents are mistaking tired signals for sleepy cues. So, sleepy cues we're looking for is like a calm, peaceful demeanor. Your baby's just sort of slowing down. Their body is more still. Maybe you see a little yawn. Maybe their eyelids and their eyebrows have a red hue to them. Maybe they're just kind of staring off into the distance for, 30 seconds. And where many parents make the mistake is they're seeing tired signals and thinking that they're sleepy cues. Tired signals really mean your baby probably should have already been sleeping. And those can be fussing, crying, avoiding eye contact, a rigid, jerky body, rubbing their eyes, tugging on their ears. So, to use this information in combination with wake windows, for example, maybe you have a, 10-week old and it's been about 60 minutes since they woke up and you see a little sleepy cue all of a sudden they kind of get still and calm and stare off out the window for a minute. That's going to be your cue. It's time to start getting them ready for their nap. Get them down pretty soon. If you're starting to see the tired signals, then try and put them down 10 minutes earlier than you did before and see if that helps. Now, why do sleepy cues only apply to babies under 5 months old? Well, there's typically a shift around this age when sleepy cues can become a lot less reliable. So, around 5 months is typically when I like to start nudging them towards staying up a little bit longer. It can actually help them nap better. So, you could be reading their cues and putting them down too early, and they wake up 20 minutes later and they're like happy and well rested and ready to go. Or the other way around, they're like a FOMO baby who never seems tired because they just like are happy to be alive and don't want to miss out on anything. And so you let your 5-month old stay up for 3.5 hours because they didn't seem tired. And then their naps and nights are a hot mess. So once you hit around like 5 months, maybe 6 months, yes, of course, you still want to like remain tuned into your baby's demeanor, but we don't want to try and like keep them awake if they're losing it or falling asleep. But at this point, it does become more helpful to mainly kind of use the clock and experiment with times that work well for them to nap or wake windows that work well for them to nap. Like history tells me you do really well after going down for a nap when you've been awake for 2 hours. So we're going to do that today, regardless of kind of like what you're showing me right now. And for some babies, I know it can be super tricky to figure out their wake windows and sleepy cues. Some are just really hard to read and all over the map. So often it is trial and error, and that is what I'm doing every day with my online clients is we are just messaging back and forth. Like, here's how the nap went, here was the wake window, and that's where having some extra support can definitely come in handy. Okay. Now, we've set up the sleep environment, we've followed the wake windows and sleepy cues. We're going to try and actually get your baby now into their crib or bassinet. Okay, you ready for this? So, I have different advice on this one depending on how old your baby is. So, remember for newborns, we're starting by swaddling, and then you're going to do the rest of the S's, the side, the suck, the sway, the shush, the stroke. Rock your baby fully to sleep, totally fine if they're a newborn. And then transfer them into their bed. When transferring them into their crib or bassinet, I know it's tricky, but you want to hold them on their side still, close to your body for as long as possible before laying them down. If you lay them down like straight onto their back, it's going to activate their startle reflex. It's going to wake them up. So keep them on your side. And then I sort of like to lean over the bassinet and lay them down on their side first, keeping my hand on their chest firmly, gently roll them to their back and keeping my hand there to jostle. Maybe I'm doing the eyebrow stroke. I'm really just staying here with some firm pressure and jostling, obviously not too firm, but to make sure that they are staying asleep. Okay, let me play this video again just as an example. This was before I had my baby a while ago, hence the baby doll. Um, if this is tricky, you can also try practicing rocking them until they're just really drowsy and laying them down when they're almost asleep, and then doing that same thing, jostling them to sleep in the bassinet. So, laying them down drowsy can help eliminate the risk of them waking up on the transfer, and it can start to get them used to falling asleep in their crib or bassinet space. What I will say about this though is not every baby is going to be able to be laid down drowsy but awake. It sounds really special and really nice until your baby is like hell to the no. So, if that's not your baby, that is okay. You can rock them fully to sleep. But if you have a really hard time transferring your baby, it can be worth it to practice laying them down when their eyelids are like really heavy, almost asleep, and then you sit there, you have your hand on them, you're jostling them, you're stroking their eyebrows until they fall asleep. So that's like all pretty much mainly newborn stuff, really, like under 4 months old. What about you guys who have babies who are not newborns? They are older than 4 months old. I do have different advice for these different ages. So if your baby is older and you want to continue rocking them to sleep, please, please do so. All I'm going to say is that it can get a lot harder as they get older. They can take a longer time to fall asleep in your arms. It can feel near impossible to transfer them into their bed without waking them. And forget about laying them down drowsy but awake. They are way too aware of that. And they could just reach for you and scream the moment you lay them down. Also, another tidbit is if they're rocked to sleep after 4 months old, they're likely going to continue waking up 30 minutes nearly into nearly every nap. I will go into that more in a couple of slides. So stick around for the 30-minute nap advice. Um, so, if you can rock your baby who is older than 4 months old to sleep, you can transfer them to successfully. Yay, like you should keep on keeping on. But if your baby's at least 4 months old and you can't get them in the crib or bassinet, the thing that is going to change your entire life and fix all of this quickly is teach them to fall asleep in their bed on their own. Remember, that was that like second piece of the pie from the beginning of this presentation. Independent sleep initiation. You just eliminate the need to spend hours trying to rock your baby to sleep and transfer them into their bed just for them to wake up minutes later. Like this piece of the pie allows you to lay them down, say goodnight, walk out knowing that they'll fall asleep just a few minutes later. And there are actually many, many ways to teach your baby to do this skill. It's not a one size fits all sort of thing. So stick around until the end of this. I promise I'll get there quickly. And I will go over some of those options with you. Like, what can we do here? All right. The next step to those crib and bassinet naps is practice, practice, practice. The crib or the bassinet may be a new space for your baby. And the more you practice, the more familiar your baby will get with that space. It's important to practice them regularly, at least once a day, if this is your goal, is getting some independent naps. Do not try this 1 or 2 times and then decide it doesn't work. It's not probably going to work the first or second time. So stay consistent. Once a day is a great place to start. One of the biggest mistakes I see parents make is they try everything to get their baby to sleep, right? They pick something, they try it for a day or two, decide it doesn't work. They move on to something else, try that for a day or two, decide it doesn't work. Rather than doing that, pick one thing, pick these steps to implement for 2 weeks before deciding like, yeah, no, this doesn't work for my baby. I promise you're going to see some results. I recommend practicing again at least once a day. If you want to practice twice a day, great. It's typically easiest to practice these crib naps in the morning. Not for every baby. Sometimes the afternoon or like the midday nap, I mean, can be a little bit more successful, but most of the time, the morning nap is the first to solidify. It's the first to try, the first easiest to get your baby down. If you're trying for a crib nap, that last nap of the day at 5 p.m., it's likely going to be a lot trickier. If it feels overwhelming to change up your current routine, just pick the first nap of the day to practice for 2 weeks. See how it goes. If you're fine with them having one nap a day in there, great. Like stick with that. If you want to start adding more, then you can try adding the second nap of the day. What I would love you to do this week is tag me on Instagram, like take a picture in your Instagram stories of like what you're doing while you're practicing your baby's independent naps. Tag me and show me a moment that you're taking care of yourself. And I would love for you to tag me at Sleep by Alex. And it would make me so happy to see us doing this as a group together. Having this group support is essential when it comes to surviving motherhood, especially early motherhood. It can be very lonely. Okay, we're almost to the end here. The next tip is to help your baby extend their naps. So, for this one, I actually have two different pieces of advice for different ages again. So, let's talk about newborns first. Newborn naps are unpredictable. Some are going to be 20 minutes, some are going to be 2 hours. There's going to feel like there's no rhyme or reason. And short naps are really common in the newborn months, especially around 3 months old. Those 3-month-olds are going to need a lot of help getting us to sleep and staying asleep. So, the ideal goal for a nap is at least 1 hour. Naps are more restorative when they can get into that second sleep cycle, hit over an hour. Now, this is just the goal in a perfect world. This is not to stress you out. Not all of your baby's naps have to be 1 hour. That's just not realistic. But know that this is just what we're aiming for. That means if you lay your baby down and they wake up after less than an hour, the best thing you can do is just pick them up and spend 10 to 15 minutes seeing if you can rock them back to sleep or pop them in the carrier to help extend their nap. Keep the room dark. Keep the sound machine on. We don't want the environment stimulating during this time, and commit to that 10 to 15 minutes if you can. If they do fall back asleep, you can either finish off with a contact nap, or if you're feeling really brave, you can try and transfer them back into their crib, but that can sometimes be a little trickier in the second piece of the nap. The goal is just to get them closer to the hour mark. But listen to me carefully. Do not lose your sanity by spending all day in the nursery trying to save naps. Do it when you can, when you're feeling up for it. Don't worry about trying to extend every single nap. Just know helping your baby extend their naps now can lay a foundation for future independent long naps. You're just teaching their body, hey, when it's nap time, we sleep for an hour, and they don't get in this habit of only cat naps all day long. Now, What about those who are not newborns? If your baby is at least 4 months old and you are helping them fall asleep at the beginning of nap time, so you're rocking them to sleep, you're patting them to sleep, you're feeding them to sleep, you're laying with them until they fall asleep, whatever it is, there is a very, very, very high chance that every nap they will wake up 30, 40, 45 minutes later. This is one nap sleep cycle at that age. And if they need help falling asleep at the beginning of nap time, they will likely wake up in between sleep cycle transitions after about a half an hour and not know how to fall back asleep. So, if this is the case for your baby, you can do this same thing. You can pick them up and spend 10 to 15 minutes trying to get them to go back to sleep. But if these 30-minute cat naps are the bane of your existence and you've been dealing with them for months on end, and that's why you're at this class, then you're gonna want to work on that other piece of the pie, the independent sleep initiation piece, until your 4+ month old can be laid down awake, fall asleep on their own. They are likely going to have a hard time connecting those nap sleep cycles. I know it's frustrating. Remember, hang around till the end. I'll give you options on how to do that. Okay. Now, this is the last tip, and this is the most important one. And it seems like this isn't an actionable one. So, this is important. I promise you, this is the one I want you to hear. I probably should have put this first. Understanding what is normal, what your baby is capable of, and managing expectations is the most important piece of this puzzle. If you are not managing your expectations for your baby, you may just be setting yourself up for feeling frustrated and disappointed time and time again, honestly. One of the many blessings of having four children now is by the third and fourth babies, I could finally just completely enjoy the newborn stage. I loved that time with my third and fourth babies, and I cannot say that about my first two. I'd actually say the opposite. Like, I literally hated the newborn stage with my first two. I was completely exhausted and frustrated the entire time. By the third, I was finally able to like understand what to expect on my baby because I'd been through it with two other children. And that allowed me to manage my expectations and actually find more joy in my day. That's why I find that this is the most important piece. Once again, I'm going to say two different things here for your baby's age. First, newborns. And by newborns, I mean just like under 4 months old. You may have the belief your baby should just be able to fall asleep when they're tired. You may think you don't want to spoil your newborn by rocking them to sleep and helping them nap. You want them to learn to sleep independently so you aren't stucking them and stuck holding them and rocking them forever and ever and ever. And then you make the mistake of feeling frustrated because your baby needs too much help to fall asleep and too much help to nap well. And this leads to your mental health suffering over time. You try over and over again to lay your baby down without first setting them up for success. And you're trying to teach your baby to sleep independently before it's age appropriate. So your newborn needs help sleeping, especially in that like fourth trimester, the first 12 weeks of your baby's life. They are adjusting to being outside of your womb. Of course, they're going to nap better on you. Of course, they're going to need support getting to sleep. Rocking your newborn to sleep and doing contact naps is not spoiling your baby. You can't spoil a newborn. Learning to self soothe and fall asleep completely independently at all times is just not developmentally appropriate for a baby who is under 4 months old. Think about this. We know babies eventually need to learn to walk, right? Because we know our baby needs to learn to walk, do we just like not carry them around when they're newborns because it might spoil them or ruin their chances of learning to walk? No, of course not. It's not developmentally appropriate for us to expect a 2 month old to learn how to walk. So we support our babies. We teach them age appropriate skills as they grow. This means they do tummy time in the newborn stage. We encourage rolling, eventually sitting, standing, cruising. Eventually, they learn to walk. Now, on the flip side, of course, if you hold your baby forever and you never allow them to practice those foundational skills, they will take a lot longer to learn how to walk. Sleep is the same. We can't expect a newborn to self soothe or consistently take 2 hour naps in the crib all day long. It's just not age appropriate. My fellow teachers out there, you might know about the zone of proximal development. This is where we want to find a just right challenge for your child. We want to challenge them enough to learn, but support them where appropriate and needed. This means that those first 4 months, you're not going to spoil your baby by rocking them to sleep or holding them for some naps. You're not going to ruin their ability to sleep independently in the future. And at some point, just like if you hold them forever, they won't learn how to walk for quite a while. When it's age appropriate, you will have to provide them new opportunities to learn sleep if you want to teach them independent sleep. So your baby's sleep habits won't necessarily magically change when they turn 4 months old. They're going to change when you make a change. Just because you can't spoil your newborn doesn't mean you don't practice independent sleep at all. Starting to practice these crib naps once a day, twice a day is going to help your baby get used to the space and give you some time for yourself. So, while I never want someone to feel guilty for holding their baby or rocking them to sleep, I also encourage you to practice these crib naps if you're feeling ready for a change. Um, with your newborn, go into these naps knowing you may have to rock them completely to sleep. If laying them down drowsy doesn't work, it's okay to rock them. They may wake up 10, 15, 20 minutes later. That is okay. That is all part of the newborn period. And remember, it's okay to pick them back up and help them fall back asleep. A 20-minute nap in the bassinet is amazing during these months. So hang in there. You're doing amazing. I promise it will get easier as time goes on. Now, what if your baby is older than 4 months old? How can we manage our expectations for those babies? Well, as I mentioned before, if you're laying your baby down asleep, like they need some sort of help from you to fall asleep at the beginning of nap time, you're patting them, you're rocking them, you're feeding them, you're sitting with them, whatever it is, they are most likely going to wake up from their nap, within 30 minutes later. So instead of feeling frustrated about this, just expect this. If your baby needs help falling asleep, they're likely going to need help falling asleep again in between sleep cycle transitions. So go into each nap expecting a short nap. And then if you randomly get a long one, it feels like special. It's like a bonus, right? Your baby may hang on to these short naps for months and months on end if they don't know how to fall asleep independently. So go into those naps knowing that's the case. Now, you might have some what ifs as we come to the end of this. What if I'm ready to teach my 4+ month old how to fall asleep independently? What if I'm ready to be done spending hours of my day getting my baby to sleep just for them to wake up shortly after? What if I'm also dealing with night wake ups like all over the place? My baby is still up every 2 to 3 hours, needing help to get back to sleep. I haven't had restorative rest in months. Maybe you're thinking some of those things. What if this doesn't work for my baby? What if I've tried these things? My baby still wakes up the second I lay them down. What if all of these things might be going through your head? So, remember, today we covered a third of this pie that goes into independent sleep, just the laying the foundation piece. We can lay a great foundation, but then the next step is going to be teaching independent sleep skills and staying consistent yet tuned in. You may have the belief your baby will naturally, eventually just learn to sleep better on their own. And then I see parents make the mistake of waiting around for sleep to get better without changing their sleep habits. So this leads to experiencing months and months of sleepless nights unnecessarily. Know that your baby can learn to sleep better and sleep independently right now if that's your goal. So instead of waiting around, take the step now to get professional guidance and support in changing your habits, teaching your baby to sleep better. This leads to better rest for both you and your baby. And better sleep is going to affect your mental, physical, social, emotional well being. You'll have more time to care for yourself, for your home, for your other children, reconnect with your partner, find yourself again. Better sleep for baby is going to support their development as well. Having ongoing individualized sleep support is the best way to ensure you will have a consistently good sleeper. Now, there are many ways out there, I'm sure you know, to teach your baby to fall asleep independently. The trick is nailing down a method that feels sustainable for you, that feels doable for you based on your temperament and your baby's temperament, your goal, your timeline. Okay. You need to find something that fits all of those needs. So, that's why I want to invite you to join the Sleep by Alex membership. This is the third anniversary, which is why I host this amazing workshop. If you're ready to teach independent sleep initiation, not using a one size fits all approach method, or if you're ready for more individualized support with your newborn or your toddler, and we really only scratched the surface of newborn sleep today, and we didn't even talk about toddler sleep. So there's so much more that we can get to. This is the 3-year anniversary of the Sleep Alex membership, and I want to invite you to be a member with a limited time offer. So, over the last few years, I've had over 200 and oh, sorry, no. Yeah, it's 2 years of the membership, sorry. This is the second anniversary of the membership, and just over the last 2 years, I've had 280 families come through this program and reap the benefits, and I want to give you a special offer to celebrate this. So, the membership is great for addressing any sleep issues, newborn stage all the way through 5 years old, and let me grab the link for you too really quick. Well, I'll just finish this first and then I'll pop in the link. Let's see. What the membership includes, in case you're curious, is monthly sleep coaching groups. So, for those of you with 4 to 24-month-olds who are interested in teaching that sleep initiation piece in a way that's tuned into your baby's needs and using a method that feels right for you and your family, this is your chance to do it with me and a group of parents doing the exact same thing. We have a kickoff call at the beginning of each month, which is where I help you pick your method. I get your questions answered, and then you get ongoing support through the process. We'll have a couple live check-in calls throughout the month. You can send me your questions anytime between the calls. I answer all messages in the membership within 24 hours, most of the time much sooner than that. And again, we start the group sleep coaching sessions at the beginning of each month. You can join the next one for $17. There's also live Q&As for any age, newborn through 5 years old. You don't have to be in the middle of teaching your baby to fall asleep independently. Anything you have going on those first 5 years, you can attend any of the live Q&As during the month. You can also get your questions answered quickly. Every baby is unique. So ditch ChatGPT, get your questions answered by a real human, a professional who can really hear you and get to know your baby. Think of it like having a sleep consultant in your pocket at all times. You're going to send me your question. You can show me your sleep diary. You can tell me your sleep training progress. You can message me at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night. Get support, get answers from me, and a support of parents that are also in this group for sleep regressions, nap transitions, sleep training, newborn naps, whatever it is. You're going to also access guides like the first 4 months guide, the 4 to 24-month sleep course. I break down everything you need to know about independent sleep in there. And I give you a variety of methods to choose from gradual to accelerated. I give you ongoing support as we go. You can have printable guides like the Dropping the Swaddle guide, Crib to Toddler Bed guide. There's workshops in there, there's other PDFs, there's a ton of stuff in there. So all of this is typically $34 a month, but I like to do this webinar once a month to celebrate the anniversary and give you the code for 50% off. Let me get you that code right now, actually. I thought I had it right here, but apparently I didn't. Let me copy and paste it for you. Okay. And I'll send it to your email as well, but I want to give you the one that has the code already in it. Perfect. Here it is. So I'm going to pop this in the chat. This already has the code attached to it, that link. Again, I'm going to email it out as well, but that link already has the code to give you half off for however long you want to stay. You could stay forever. You could stay for 1 month. You're going to get $17 a month for as long as you'd like to stay. And again, there's the bonus sleep learning course, 4 to 24-month video course in there. It's exactly what you're going to need after your baby turns 4 months old. You're going to discover how you can teach your baby to fall asleep independently so you can have time to care for yourself and your home and your other children, spend time with your partner, get better rest for yourself, for your baby. and it's not a one size fits all plan. You don't even need to drop night feeds if you don't want to. You can pick a plan that feels good for you and your baby, and you're going to have ongoing support from me in the community throughout the entire process. To recap, you get printable guides, resources, video course, newborn guides, access to sending me your messages anytime, unlimited message support, sleep training groups, all this support through sleep training, sleep regressions, nap transitions. There's 5 live calls like this a month where we just chat back and forth. And in order to lock in this special 50% off for life, the $17 a month, you need to sign up now because after July 23rd at 8 a.m., this is over. It's going to go back to $34 a month. So this is the lowest the price ever gets. After this enrollment period, the price will go back to $34 a month. So take advantage of the price now. You could lock in this 50% off. Even if you are wanting to join, October's sleep training group, it's worth it to be there a couple months and get message support with this deal. It's 55 cents a day. You have a village and a support system, and honestly, better sleep is priceless. Before I go, I just want to share 2 experiences from the membership. This is Jesse's win. I have reliably occurring time to myself again. My baby went from needing to be rocked for literally hours to just sleep 10 to 30 minutes. And now we do our 5-minute nap routine and 10-minute bedtime routine. They fall asleep independently. And 7 days into following the program, I finally feel like myself again for the first time since being postpartum. Like that it's an amazing feeling. There's nothing better than that. I looked into various other sleep training programs, but didn't feel like anyone else offered something that aligned with my lifestyle or goals as much as Alex's program did. I'm not even done with the first 2 weeks, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this program has improved my life, my baby's life, so much more than I thought possible. This is Anna's experience. Anna joined when her baby was literally a newborn. I think she maybe joined through the webinar last year. I'm trying to remember. No, 8 months. I don't know. She joined at some point when her baby was a newborn, and she's still with me. Her baby's 8 months old now. I've guided her through dropping naps and tweaking schedules, and she feels like it just gives her a peace of mind on how to handle all different sleep situations. And it's helped calm her anxiety around her baby's sleep and given her the tools she needs so that she can navigate any tricky situation that comes up. If you're curious about talking on the phone one-on-one, these are the prices of my 3 popular packages: $219, $289, and $449. So that's always an option to work one-on-one, but you're going to get the Sleep by Alex membership because you're at this webinar for $17 a month. And we will chat back and forth via live group calls. So it is just it's pretty priceless. It's really probably the most affordable sleep support you'll find out there. Make sure you hit the link in the chat. If you can't get to that link, don't worry. I'm going to send it out with the replay. I'm going to send it out with the email. And just make sure that you join by the 23rd to lock in that price, okay? Thank you so much. Don't forget, tag me when you're practicing your independent naps, post a pic, tag me in your stories at Sleep by Alex, or head over right now and send me a message in the membership. Lock in the 50% off price. I would love to get started today and start chatting with you there. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come here. I know that we are all busy, so I appreciate you being here, and I will see you soon. Hopefully see you in the membership in a minute.